quote I picked was, "I'm not afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens," by Alan. I think this quote is a big contradiction of itself. I think that if you're, like, there's a group of people. There's people who aren't afraid to die, there's people who aren't. I'm part of the group who probably is, but, you know, if you're saying you don't want to be there, it's like, it's still being afraid of it. Like, you don't want to face it, kind of a thing, which is you telling yourself that you don't want to. It's you unconsciously, like, putting up another wall for, like, of nervousness, fear, anxiety, and whatever. So I think that this quote, like, I don't agree. It's not that I don't agree with it, I just think it's not a good quote because it basically contradicts itself. So most people don't like death, obviously, the tragedy, the experience, the feelings with it, all the mourning. I think we've all gone through our fair share, and hopefully as minimal as possible, but I think that if you're not going to really face it yourself, I guess. You face other people's death, in a sense. Like, you see other people's hardships and how they die, and you see all these different deaths, but you really don't see your own. You see it, but you can't, like, elaborate on it later in life, because that's it, you know? So I think the fear comes from someone else's death. It comes from you having all the experiences of how this person died traumatically, how this person kind of just, like, cancer's death, or, for example, like, leukemia. My cousin had leukemia, so we kind of watched him pass away, which kind of sucks. But I think it's more of me being afraid, me and others who are afraid or who are not afraid of facing it, in the sense of watching other people go through, knowingly knowing they're gonna die. So seeing it, I think the worst case of it, like, not wanting to be there when it happens, is the process. Like, the death, I think, it's gonna happen, it's quick, it's just there. But the process of, like, for example, cancer, which is terrible, but of slowly deteriorating, slowly not getting better, slowly getting worse and sick, and losing all, like, hope for yourself, is kind of the fear that I and most people would probably have in that certain situation. So I think the quote, "I'm not afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens," contradicts itself, but if you have to elaborate on it, I think that it's the process that people are afraid of. Maybe not the death, but the process of watching themselves become nothing and die, rather than the actual death itself. Thank you. Go for it. This is just good, I think. I like you.
No, you should not. You should wait until I'm finished. I'll send somebody out for you. Hang on a second. All right. Shawnee, you use the quote as the attention device. That's a little bit awkward. You do have a subject here. You're talking about death. So I think that that's a good topic. That's an easy one to find a lot of things to talk about. You need to have a little bit of a point of view at the beginning of the speech, and you don't really have that point of view until you get into the speech and start talking about things. So there's not really any preview. And the truth is that there's not really any structure in the presentation, but you have some interesting ideas and some valid examples to present during the presentation. So I thought that you found some things worth talking about, and I don't know why you were beating yourself up about that ahead of time, except that, of course, that you probably hadn't thought about them until you started realizing that you had to give the speech and you start actually speaking. And that's one of the things that you have to do, is you have to get a little bit more confidence. I didn't have you as having any problems with anxiety while you're giving the speech. It's all beforehand, before you even start speaking. You can't tell, oh, I don't want to speak, I don't like the topics, can I do the other speech? And then once you get started, you're fine. So I think think that that undermines your credibility as a speaker. You need to have more confidence in yourself. You've got an opinion here, just go with it and do the best you can. And I thought that you did a pretty good job with the content of the speech. Like I said, except for organization, the ideas that you had were pretty good. And your delivery, see, I think you've got a natural advantage over a lot of people. You have an up personality, you have a good voice that projects well, there's a lot of variety in your voice, so you're ahead of a lot of people already, and I think you can rely on that to create some energy in the presentation, so you're in good shape there. Your facial expressions are okay, your eye contact with the audience, I thought that you were usually looking at us most of the time. At the end of the speech, I think you found a good way to summarize the point that you were trying to make, and you ended reasonably effectively, so, pat yourself on the back a little bit, throw away the stuff that happened before the speech, and just think about what you did. When you watch your speech, pay attention to the things that you're doing during the presentation, and then remind yourself that that's what's important, not the stuff that came beforehand. Okay? All right.